changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Thoughtful Thursday, and now that Valentine's Day is over, I want to talk about it and whether you might want to do it differently next year. I was looking through my calendar to see what my husband and I did in past years, and I saw the dinner that we went to in 2014. And I remember not really liking it. And he's probably listening now to this podcast and hearing this for the first time. But we were lined up like cattle in this expensive steakhouse. And I felt like they were just trying to get us in and get us out. And it wasn't really romantic at all. And that was the year I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. Get all dressed up to sit in rows of two and be served by stressed out waiters who are trying to keep things moving. And Helen Zanone tells us a similar story in a piece she wrote for Chicken Soup for the Soul, Food and Love. I liked this story so much that I used it in our special show on PBS a couple of years ago. It was a show that was all about the merits of getting the family together around the dinner table. So here's what happened to Helen and her husband. They got a sitter for their 3 kids, and they went to their favorite Italian restaurant. They loved this place, and Helen was getting hungry just thinking about how delicious everything would be. But they didn't have a reservation, and so they waited for a table along with about 20 other people. And to make matters worse, because it was Valentine's Day, the people who were already seated were taking their time. They were drinking their wine, they were ordering dessert, they were lingering over their meals. It took 2.5 hours before Helen and her husband were seated. Nothing was worth that long a wait. And once they were out there without a reservation, they knew they were stuck. They had no other place they could go. Every place would be the same. So Helen didn't complain, but she made a plan to do things differently. And the following year, when her husband John asked where they were going, she said, "Nowhere. It's a surprise. Just be home by 6. So here's what she did. While John was at work and the kids were at school, Helen got busy with preparations. She made creme brulee, very fancy. She set the table with a red tablecloth. She sprinkled pink rose petals on it. She added a layer of white sheer fabric over it. Then she put little votive candles all over the table. She put out their best china, and she placed a box of chocolates and a handwritten Valentine's Day card at each plate. And then she made a delicious chicken dinner with mashed potatoes, asparagus, gravy. It was going to be a great meal. The 3 kids came home from school, and they were full of questions about this beautifully set table and all the delicious smells. And then John walked in the door as the last tray of food was placed on the table. He handed Helen a bouquet of roses, and she placed them in the center of the table. And the family sat down to a meal they would never forget. No one wanted to be the first to get up. She says she had never seen the kids so mesmerized or so well behaved. Every year after that, Helen made a special Valentine's dinner for her family, her husband and children. And when the kids started dating, she included their dates at their Valentine's dinner. As Helen said, this is what Valentine's Day is about, showing your family how much they are loved. And I think she has a great idea there. You can go out with your partner on a different night, one that isn't so crazy, but why not spend the real Valentine's Day with all of your favorite people? I'm Amy Newmark. Thank you for listening today. If you'd like to read that story by Helen Zanone, you can pick up a copy of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Food and Love. And come back tomorrow for Friend Friday. Tomorrow is Random Acts of Kindness Day. And we're going to talk with Dan Riley, who is the guy who makes it all happen on our TV show that's about random acts of kindness. It's called Chicken Soup for the Soul's Hidden Heroes. We're going to talk about some really moving stories, and I think it's going to make your day.